Stop trying to motivate yourself all the time. Think about it for a second. What does it say about modern life that people need a new burst of motivation every morning just to do the things they already know matter? Maybe the problem isn't laziness. Maybe it's something deeper than that. Sometimes people aren't weak. They're just disconnected from themselves for so long that they no longer notice who's actually running their life. And if that sounds dramatic to you right now, stay with me. Today, I want to tell you the story of Alexander Grothendieck, a man many considered the greatest mathematical mind of the 20th century, who eventually disappeared from the world almost completely, as if he were trying to escape something no one else could see. But this story isn't really about mathematics, and it's not even about genius. It's about something much more unsettling. What happens when the strongest part of your personality slowly turned into a prison? Imagine rejecting the highest honor in your field, turning down money, ignoring letters, walking away from recognition most people would sacrifice their entire lives for, then choosing to live alone in a leaking cabin in the Pyrenees Mountains. People liked calling him crazy, but honestly, I don't think that was the real story. The first time I read about his life, it didn't feel like I was reading about a man who suddenly broke down. It felt more like watching someone push himself in one direction for so many years that eventually he forgot how to come back. And that reminded me of something Carl Jung once wrote about. Jung believed that human beings aren't driven by just one personality. We move through life using different psychological patterns, old forces that exist inside all of us. The warrior, the sage, the child, the destroyer. And the danger isn't that these patterns exist. The danger begins when one of them takes over your entire life. Grothendieck seemed trapped inside the archetype of the sage. And at first, that sounds like a gift. You become intelligent, insightful, different from everyone else, able to see things most people miss. But there's a hidden cost to living that way. Because the sage doesn't know how to stop thinking. It doesn't know how to live simply. It analyzes everything, questions everything, pulls reality apart piece by piece, trying to find a truth underneath it. And eventually, the mind becomes a place you can't escape from anymore. And honestly, I think a lot of people are living smaller versions of that right now without realizing it. Maybe you're successful at work, but completely absent in your relationships. Maybe people love being around you, but the second you're alone, something inside you collapses. Or maybe, the worst possibility of all, you became successful as a version of yourself you barely recognize. That sentence alone has destroyed a lot of lives, because people can survive failure. What's much harder to survive is realizing you lost yourself while trying to become someone important. Over time, these patterns start speaking in your voice. The warrior turns every disagreement into a battle. The child runs from responsibility and calls it freedom. The destroyer convinces you to sabotage your own life while pretending it's honesty. And the scary part is, most people never notice when it starts happening. That's why some people look successful from the outside, while internally feeling like strangers to themselves. They don't know how to take the mask off anymore. But some people figure something out before it's too late. They realize that their emotions are not always the truth, and the voice inside their head is not always who they are. That's where real freedom begins. Not when you control everything, but when you can observe what's happening inside you without immediately becoming it. So here's something simple I want you to try. Not a life hack, not some motivational trick. Just a small psychological shift that might completely change the way you see yourself. I call it name and neutralize. The next time you feel the urge to escape, or lash out, or sabotage something good in your life, or simply give up, don't fight the feeling immediately. Pause for a second and quietly name what's happening. The destroyer is showing up right now. The scared child is talking. The warrior is trying to turn this into a fight. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but something important happens the moment you name the pattern instead of blindly becoming it. A small distance appears between you and your reaction, and suddenly you're no longer fully inside the storm. You're watching it happen, and that tiny space might be where freedom actually begins. Maybe Grothendieck tried to destroy the entire system. Maybe he wanted to escape it completely. But perhaps the real tragedy was simpler than that. He stayed trapped inside one version of himself for too long. And honestly, a lot of people do. Some people spend their whole lives as warriors, or victims, or performers trying to prove something they don't even fully understand. And one day, they wake up exhausted, wondering where their real self went. So after this video ends, I want you to do one thing. Pay attention to yourself today. Not the world, not other people. You. The first time something upsets you, don't react immediately. Listen carefully to the voice that appears inside your head. Notice the pattern trying to take control of the moment. Then ask yourself something uncomfortable. Is this actually me? Or is this just a pattern that learned how to speak in my voice? And before you close this video, think carefully. Who wants to leave so quickly? You? Or the part of you that became uncomfortable the moment it realized you were finally starting to see it clearly?